The Hitman series has been around for over 20 years at this point, beginning in 2000 with Hitman codename 47, but with the World of Assassination trilogy that began with 2016's Hitman, IO have produced some of the most acclaimed games in Hitman's storied history, and brought in a lot of new fans along the way. Now the World of Assassination trilogy comes to a close with the release of the highly anticipated Hitman III. I have a pretty sporadic history with the Hitman franchise. Over the years, I've played Silent Assassin, Blood Money, and Absolution, and when Hitman 2016 was originally coming out episodically, I played through the first episode, but fell off between releases and never got back to it. But in the lead up to Hitman 3, I finally went back and played through Hitman 2016 and Hitman 2 back to back, and I totally fell in love with them, thanks to their hugely varied levels and open-ended gameplay. After playing through Hitman 1 and 2, my expectations for Hitman 3 were very high, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. Now having beat Hitman 3 and replayed a handful of missions to see how they could play out differently, I can say Hitman 3 did not disappoint. Hitman 3 offers some of the series' most intricate, engaging, and varied maps yet, and features the most engrossing story ever seen in a Hitman game. Hitman 3 closes out the World of Assassination trilogy with not only the most ambitious Hitman game yet, but also the best game in Hitman's 20-year history. What makes Hitman unlike any other franchise is the sheer amount of ways the game will let you tackle any given task. There are hundreds and hundreds of different ways to take down targets, with countless disguises, weapons, items, and environmental hazards to take advantage of. And Hitman 3 offers the most variety yet, making it almost endlessly replayable. These games are so impressive to me. I can't even fathom how developers go about making something with so many moving parts. While many stealth games like Metal Gear Solid and Splinter Cell are all about skulking around in the shadows and getting in and out without ever being seen, Hitman has always gone for a completely different approach. Hitman is all about acquiring new disguises to hide in plain sight and gain access to different locations as you inch your way closer to your targets. This has always given Hitman its own distinct feel amongst its peers, and this concept allows for so much creativity that even 2 decades on from the first Hitman game, it still hasn't gotten stale. Hitman 3 sees Agent 47 on another globe-trotting adventure, offering what is arguably the series' most diverse set of levels ever, both geographically and visually. Across the game's 6 maps, you'll be visiting everywhere from an English manor to a winery in Argentina to the world's tallest building in Dubai. These levels all offer drastically different ways to play the game, and they're so masterfully designed that you end up finding new things every time you revisit a location. Hitman 3 also adds another layer of depth to maps, with permanently unlockable shortcuts, which allow you to traverse maps more efficiently on repeat playthroughs. Hitman 3 offers more ways than ever to take out targets. While you can of course kill targets by poisoning or shooting them, Hitman is always at its most fun when you get creative with your kills. And taking advantage of the more ridiculous opportunities for the assassinations allows the game's dark humour to shine through. Across the 6 levels, I killed targets in countless over-the-top ways, from impaling a target on a miniature model of an oil rig, to tricking someone into walking into a grape crusher at a winery, to replacing a man's golf ball with one that exploded when he hit it. And I know I've barely scratched the surface of the crazy kills that are possible in this game. From the jump, Hitman 3 feels far more epic in scale than the previous 2 games. When the very first mission starts with Agent 47 performing a halo jump to land on the exterior of a skyscraper in Dubai, you know you're in for one hell of a ride. Thornbridge Manor is not only my favourite location in Hitman 3, but maybe my favourite location in the entire World of Assassination trilogy. This level features a detective heading to Thornbridge Manor to solve a murder. As this is a Hitman game, you can of course slyly take down this detective, equip his clothes, and have Agent 47 take his place. This then allows you to go in and solve the murder mystery yourself by examining the crime scene, searching rooms for evidence, and interviewing the suspects. The murder mystery is surprisingly engaging, and as I examined evidence, I found myself pretty sucked into both the case and the family drama surrounding it. Once I'd ascertained who the killer was, I was able to report back to the woman who'd hired the detective, who also happened to be Agent 47's target. This allowed me to get close enough to her to push her from a balcony when no one was looking. I loved this whole mission story as it flips the script in such an interesting way. Having Agent 47 investigate a murder instead of perpetrating it is such a fun role reversal, and this is just one of many mission stories that you can pursue in Hitman 3. So many of them feature this degree of thought and care, and as soon as I finished Hitman 3, I jumped right back to the beginning to see what other stories could unfold across Hitman 3's maps. Once you've completed a map, you can go back and play its escalation missions. These missions add increasingly more complicated mission parameters, like only being able to kill targets in specific ways while wearing specific disguises, adding additional cameras, and having certain NPCs see through disguises instantly. These offer fun new ways to play through missions, as they really force you to think about the maps in new ways and plan carefully before acting. While I really enjoyed Hitman and Hitman 2, there was one aspect that never really clicked with me, and that was their stories. While they weren't terrible, I found them a little generic and struggled to ever get truly invested in either the characters or the overarching plot. Hitman 3 was a huge step up for me. Within a couple of hours, I found myself eagerly anticipating each new cutscene. The story in Hitman 3 is fittingly tense and constantly takes dramatic twists and turns, keeping you on the edge of your seat the whole way through. Right up until the final mission, I never knew where the plot was really going, as there were so many unexpected moments scattered throughout. And it all culminates with the game's excellent ending. I loved the way the story wrapped up, as it manages to both keep the door open for the series' future, and also close out the World of Assassination trilogy in a satisfying way. If IO decide to take a few years off from Hitman while they work on their recently announced James Bond game, I'm more than happy with where the series leaves off. While Hitman 3 looks gorgeous in motion thanks to its breathtaking environments and impressive lighting effects, the game's cutscenes can look pretty rough. They're strangely low res, and the facial animations and character models just don't look on par with other games on the market. Hitman 3's soundtrack is fantastic, perfectly suiting the dark and moody tone of Hitman 3's story. The main theme in particular is a standout, and is one of the best pieces of music I've heard in a game since The Last of Us Part 2. When playing on PS5, Hitman 3 makes good use of the DualSense's adaptive triggers. When throwing objects or firing a gun, there's a nice amount of resistance, which helps add to the immersion. The adaptive triggers and haptic feedback are one of the most impressive aspects of the PS5 for me, and it's nice to see third-party developers embracing these unique features. It's also worth noting that if you own Hitman 1 and 2, you can import the levels from those games into Hitman 3 and access the whole trilogy in one place. While Hitman 3 doesn't drastically change the formula from Hitman 1 and 2, it didn't need to. The gameplay of Hitman was already phenomenal, so instead of reinventing the wheel, IO just focused on refining and expanding what they already had, and it paid off wonderfully. An engrossing story, meticulous level design, and near unlimited replay value make Hitman 3 one of the greatest stealth games ever made. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find countless other game reviews on my channel, including my last video in which I reviewed Scott Pilgrim vs. the World the Game Complete Edition. And make sure to stay tuned for my upcoming reviews of Cyber Shadow and Destruction All Stars.